she can totally just crush me. Right? It's amazing, like dating somebody who you know could just kick your ass in a minute. But man, you know, you feel all secure and huggy. And but it wasn't her. I gotta admit, I would have to question my orientation after a while. I mean, not that that's a bad thing. And just like, now I'm guessing, call me crazy, she's not menstruating. And in truth, if you couldn't see her face and that crazy thing up her butt, it'd be hard to guess woman on this, right? That waist-to-hip ratio has gotten all awry, large latissimus, right? Her back's all wide like a guy. Fuck, her biceps are bigger than most guys I know, right? And this costs a lot of money. She's got to eat a lot, right? Steroid bill is probably $1,000 a month. Can you imagine paying $12,000 a year to look like that? And then having to work out all the time? Some guys are really into it, but like you notice her jaw is starting to get a little butched out too. Like that squaring. So what are we going to see all the time? Increased facial hair. All right, irreversible, but you can shave. Right? In truth, it's everywhere. All right? Hair on down your back. Right? And most of the bodybuilder guys, they shave their whole bodies. Right? So you wouldn't know. If you're a woman and you're shaving your back, right, it just might be like, hey, if that's what's happening in nature, okay. But like, maybe you ought to have steroids. Right? The balding is irreversible, all right? I've never done these. It's already bad enough for me. One of my supervisors in internship had only done one sort of cycle, but had lost pretty much all of this. He was really strong, but man, he was really bald, right? And again, it's that testosterone reaction. That's just how it seems to work. Increased aggressiveness. And I want to emphasize this because it's not just on the steroids, but also trying to get off them is the worst time for this. There is genuine withdrawal, and the aggressiveness is intense. When I was in Indiana, I was a therapist for the nose guard of the football team who was trying to get off them. God, you know how long ago this was, because cash machines would give you $10 bills. Right? So we're talking ancient history here. But he beat the crap out of the cash machine. He wanted a 20. The cash machine gave him 10s. He punched it. You can imagine with all the thoughts and things like, this thing is fucking with me. You know, like just acne. Okay, and this is not just on your face, but like all over, real hard on your back and stuff like that. So sometimes you try to tan to make up for it and stuff like that. But again, it's all your skin's all oily. You're an adolescent boy, right? This is what you're trying to turn yourself into by taking these. And then, yeah, increased body hair. And it's not that it's irreversible, you can't shave it off, it's that now you've got these new hair follicles that are putting out this dark gray and black stuff that you didn't have before. Right? So real quick, painful erections, is it priapism? What's gynecomastia? Right. And which of these is reversible? Is it balding, aggressiveness, now we're joking here, but in truth now, I just got an email from one of the World Series of Poker aspirants who's going to go on ADHD so he can play poker all day. Go on the amphetamine meds. What's Adderall, right? Dude, really? You got to become a drug addict to win the World Series of Poker? Are you shitting me? And they're like, everybody else is doing it. Right? And this is how it starts, right? Pretty soon you're going to be watching World Series of Poker and everybody's going to be like, speeding out. I just thought that was cool. Okay. There are different patterns in part because you don't need to memorize these different, like I'm not going to ask you what is shotgunning, right? But if you understand how the receptors for these hormones work, you don't want to just flood them all the time or they're going to become insensitive, right? So ideally, if I can get a big growth response and then get off so that my receptors maintain their sensitivity, then doing them again will keep paying off instead of having to crank it up, crank it up, crank it up, crank it up. So you take multiple ones, you go on for a few weeks and then go off, right? Increase use prior to competition, then taper off to avoid detection, right? And this is the big key, right? Because the competitions test for these, you're always trying to meet that test. And then it turns into this strategy around that. Okay? What does this really come from? Much like anorexia seems to rely on distorted body image in both men and women, this kind of muscle dysmorphia seems to be rampant in this crew. I'm not saying every guy who's a bodybuilder has this, but there's this literally delusional notion that you are little or you are weak when you have compelling evidence to the contrary. Again, I mean, when I lived in West Hollywood, the gay guys, this was tough, right? This guy was on steroids. He was benching 350, right? Hitting the raves, like ecstasy, Viagra, and all these steroids and stuff like that. And he'd say, you know, I'm ugly. I don't have many guys coming up to me. I'm like, dude, all right. And it was just delusional, right? Oh, I'm weak. You know, look at the back of my tricep. Like there'd be some like obscure little muscle that he didn't like. You know, so it was off the charts crazy, right? And what a surprise! It led to abuse of a number of drugs, all designed to enhance performance. Right? This is a subset of body dysmorphic disorder. Don't drive yourself nuts with that. DSM-5 is going to come out next week, and God only knows what the fuck they'll do with it. But the big idea is just that there's a reverse anorexia, if you will. I'm too little. Right? I got to get bigger notion that seems to drive this. And this is our opportunity for intervention. Right? So you get these guys in therapy, and it's not easy to do, right? But they're usually like, I can't find a girl who wants to have sex 4 times a day. Like, dude, join the club. You know? Like, I'm having a whole lot of interpersonal problems because of my steroid abuse, right? Or they date each other, right? So my girlfriend can curl more than me, right? It's like, she's kind of crazy, things like that. And try to attack this cognition that in order to be a person of value, your body has to look a certain way.
So these bodybuilders typically seem to have low self-esteem issues initially, and then like, do they go through these stages where they're, you know...
I mean, it's just curious, performance contingent self-esteem, if you will, right? So if I get second place in the tournament, it's a tragedy, right? That kind of dichotomous thinking that we're going to see when we talk about the psychiatric measure with depression, too, right? Follow? Make some sense?